Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Now, today I want to come at you with what I consider to be some bad news on the legal front. This is quite a day of note, in my opinion, because this is the day that'll go down in history when the state of Texas threw gun rights under the bus. Gun owners right under the bus. In fact, they threw pretty much the whole Constitution, the Bill of Rights, right under the bus. All for a political stunt to get the governor reelected. Basically, it's this abortion law that they have in Texas that I've spoken to you about before. And I'm not here to speak about abortion. Not going to lecture anyone on that. But the way they passed this law, they wrote it in a way that they knew would make it difficult to overturn it. Because they wrote it in a way that says, well, we are passing enforcement on to the populace by giving them the right to sue people who provide abortions for large amounts of money, even if they're not in any way involved in this. And the politicians don't enforce anything. They just let the courts award judgments based on this law. Well, they stood in front of the Supreme Court today and argued that because the courts enjoin people who enforce laws, not the laws themselves, that they have no right to step in here. Because this isn't the actual trial today. I mean, this is not them standing in front of the Supreme Court defending the law. This is them standing in front of the Supreme Court and telling the Supreme Court why they shouldn't have the authority to even step in right now. So they're telling them, since you enjoin the politicians or the lawmakers or enforcers, you don't enjoin the actual law itself. Since this law doesn't allow politicians to enforce the law, it allows citizens to enforce the law. You can't go after the politicians. You'd have to go after the citizens in some way, and there's no way really to do that. So they said you have to let it stand, basically. And that might not sound like such a horrible thing to a lot of people, but it's actually a very horrible thing. Because here's what Justice Kavanaugh came forward and asked the guy, and it's something I've already talked about. He said, okay, what I'm understanding from you, since you're saying that we don't enjoin laws, we enjoin people that enforce them. We can't allow a lawsuit against the state or the people who run the state to stand because you're not the ones enforcing the law. And in case you don't understand what enjoin means, that just means talking to someone and telling them no, in this case. They actually go to them and say, you can't do that, stop it. That's enjoining the politicians. And since a law doesn't have ears and you can't hold a conversation with it, they can't do that to a law. So unless they can find someone inside the state who's actually responsible for enforcing it, then they can't let a lawsuit against the state stand to challenge the law. So that's what they're arguing. But when he got in front of the Supreme Court today, Kavanaugh, one of the more conservative members of the court, said, well, let me understand what you're saying here. What you're saying to me is that if you pass a law that deprives people of their rights, but you don't enforce it, you give someone else the right to enforce it, we can't step in. And he said, yes. So Kavanaugh said, well, then that would mean if a state passed a law that says, well, it's not illegal to buy or own a gun, but it is legal for anyone that doesn't like the fact that you bought or own a gun to sue you for $1 million, and the courts can award you that judgment based on this law. But we're not going to enforce it. The courts are going to enforce it. So therefore, you can't sue us. If you buy a gun, you're going to get sued. And it's going to be on you. And not only just you, but they could also sue the people who sold you the gun, the people who made the gun, the distributor that transferred the gun. Because that's how vague the Texas bill is written. And to this, the Solicitor General of Texas says, yes, that is how I understand the law. The state should be able to deny someone of a right, and there's nothing you should be able to do about it if we ourselves don't get our hands dirty with enforcement. Even though we wrote the law, and we gave the people the power to harass other people, you still can't do anything to us because we just wrote the law, we don't enforce it. We allow the courts to enforce it, the police to enforce it, whatever. So that was his argument. And Kavanaugh went on again and said, well, by what you're saying, if I'm a baker and I'm in California, California could pass a law saying, hey, if you don't bake a cake for a lesbian couple or even like a satanic wedding, let's say, Any citizen who sees that or even hears that can go, I am using this law to sue you for $1 million, and the courts will have no choice but to award me the award because it clearly says if you do this, you owe me $1 million. Even though you have every right to do it, there's a law that says you owe me $1 million if you do. And once again, not only could they sue the cake maker who didn't make the cake, but the guy who sells him his flour, the guy who sells him his eggs, the guy who made his business cards, anyone that helped him run his business. That's what this Texas law is like. That's what I warned you all. That's what I was telling people. You've got to stand against this law, not because you believe in the freedom of choice or you're pro-abortion or anti-abortion or anything. It's just because you don't agree with them stripping the Bill of Rights. Even Keegan or Kagel or whatever her name is, she was joining in with Kavanaugh, grilling this guy, saying, wait, what you're saying is that a state could basically strip any right from anyone under duress of having their lives ruined if they tried to partake in their right, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Well, he said, well, you could go to Congress and ask them to pass a law to tell your state that they have to give you those rights. And Keegan was like, well, wait a minute. So you're saying that rights don't exist unless Congress gives them to you. She's like, I thought the point of rights were that you didn't have to ask permission. You're saying the official position of the state of Texas is that you don't have your rights unless Congress tells you you do. And he basically was like, yeah, that's basically how it is. Because that's what he has to do to defend this law. And that tells you how heinous this law is. So basically, Keegan and Kavanaugh went back and forth with him, stating here, so in other words, no one has any rights. The Bill of Rights is moot unless Congress passes another law that says, hey, the Second Amendment, that applies to everyone, so you can't pass anti-gun laws in California. And you can't pass anti-gun laws in Texas. You can't pass a law that allows people to sue distributors. They have to pass laws about all this stuff. Every time someone tried to take your rights away from you, well, you'd have to wait for Congress to give them back to you. That's not how our Constitution's supposed to work. Kavanaugh was like, it seems like you've looked for a place where you can create a loophole here where you get to invalidate the Constitution. And that's what they're doing. They're saying, well, the courts shouldn't be able to get involved at a higher level unless someone on our state level gets sued, loses, and then it goes up to a higher court, and then they lose again, and then they lose again, and it goes to a higher court, and they lose again, and they go to a higher court, and it loses again, and then the Supreme Court could take it up on that one basis right there, and they could enjoin the court that actually made the decision. By then, a person's ruined. Ruined. That's ridiculous. That's basically saying you don't have any of your rights, if a state tells you you don't, until you go through the complete legal system, which could take years and drain you of all your finances, and then they might be able to step in on that one case. And as far as your rights go in any other situation, you don't have them unless you can go to Congress and lobby and convince them to pass a law to protect you in your state. That's garbage. That's what the Constitution is for. So basically what we saw today was the Solicitor General of Texas argue that you don't have rights unless the current administration and the current Congress passes a law saying you can have your rights. That any state can deny you of your rights as long as they pass enforcement on to the people. And they take their hands off of it after they write it. They still write the law. They put forward the doctrine that the courts follow. They grant the authority to citizens to sue, but then it's out of their hands, so you can't do anything to them. You can't tell them, no, you can't write that law. That's their whole argument. Is since you can't talk to a piece of paper, you have to talk to the people enforcing the law, and we're not enforcing it, then you can't do anything. That's the loophole they're trying to use. And when I asked, well, does that apply to all rights? They said, yes. Unless Congress writes a special law to protect it. So that's Texas's opinion right now. That's where they've gone to support and protect a political trick to get their unpopular governor reelected. after he suffered, like I said, bad press for not being able to maintain the electrical systems, etc., which is more big business's issue than his, but he's not popular now because of that. So they're willing to throw gun owners under the bus, gun rights under the bus, and the Constitution under the bus, all for their ridiculous little law and their ridiculous little stunt to get their governor reelected. And if anybody out there, no matter how you feel about abortion, if you support that, then you are blind and you are ignorant, if not stupid, because you're allowing them to tell you you don't have your rights unless us politicians agree that you have them, and then we can get Congress on a national level to agree that you have them. If we decide we want to take them from you, well, unless you've got millions of dollars to fight for years, there's just nothing you can do about it. Because you don't really have rights until we tell you you do. And if you support that, you don't understand what this country is about at all. All right, everybody. I am trying to get these down to where they're just 10 minutes every day. I want to donate like 4 minutes to a first topic and 2 minutes to a second one and 2 minutes to a third one. That only comes to 8, but you know what I'm talking about. I want to shorten these, so I'm going to go ahead and end this today with just the one topic that I, bloviated over for a solid 11 minutes there. But before I go, I want to remind everyone, once again, we are doing the Veterans Day giveaway. We're giving away an AR to a veteran who gets nominated as a veteran who deserves a special thank you on Veterans Day. So if you know such a veteran, go over to tymppistolproject.com. There's a link in the upper corner of this video. Use that Nominate a Veteran section to nominate a veteran. You don't have to buy anything, pay anything. This is just out of the kindness of Stormin' Norman Gunworks' hearts. He's built this gun, donating this gun, and he's going to give it to a veteran on Veterans Day. He'll do it live on my chat. So if you want to nominate someone, go over, nominate them, and then just wait till Veterans Day and see if they win. And with that being said, there's one more thing I do want to say before I go tonight to make this video even longer. I do want to apologize because I made a video yesterday where I implied that people who carry 9mm, men who carry 9mm, are somehow less than manly. And this upset some of them. They come screeching at me with their little high-pitched voices, whining, I'm a man, and all that shit. Oh, don't make fun of me. And they said I owed them an apology for questioning their manhood, for saying that, if you were more of a man, you would carry a bigger caliber. And I will apologize to them. I don't want to make anyone upset. I mean, I always believe that before we judge these people that carry 9mm, we should have to walk a mile in their low-rise skinny jeans. And since we haven't, we shouldn't be so judgmental. So I do want to apologize. I am sorry that you are that way. I'm sorry that carrying a 9mm makes you less than a man. I wish it was different, or better yet, I wish you were different. But you keep doing you. You be as sus as you want to be. You carry your little 9mm. You don't want to break your wrists. So delicate little fine-boned things. But like I said, I am sorry that you're less a man than I was callous enough to point it out. And now that I've said that, I just want to thank everyone for coming, and I hope you come back again tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.